Here is my internal routing cable hack for making changing of old worn out gear cables for a new gear cable super easy. Okay, so on this bike here, it's all internally routed all the way from the handlebars. There's a little bit of external routing here, but essentially from around the headset. Well, this actually isn't too bad compared to modern bikes. giant TCR here. So from around the headset, I'll just blow the headset. So I don't have it threaded through the stem because that's a nightmare, but it does come in here and then it comes down the down tube and then it goes all the way underneath the down tube. It goes through the seat stay and then it comes out the back here. So I'm changing my rear derailleur gear cable. So you can see it comes out the back here, just above where I'm using a Shimano Dura Ace 9100 rear mech. And what I've done is, to make it super easy, I've put in one of these. So this is a, what you might call a inner gear sheath. So this, you should have one of these inside the bike. So you got cable outers, so these thick black outers, so these are really tough and not very flexible. And then inside the frame, in here, you should have running inside, in order for the cable not to rub on the frame, the metal cable to rub on your carbon frame, or even a metal frame, something like this. So this is a little sheath, inner gear cable or inner brake cable sheath that will run inside, and then that'll join up with, maybe you've got some other cabling. So this will come here on the, so this essentially is like a little joiner where the cable comes to the end, and then this is the outside world and this is the inside world. So I just keep that. So what I've done is I've unscrewed this little flap and on the bottom, and hopefully you can see here, this is the cable inner, but this only on this bike runs halfway along the chainstay, and therefore when you get to the end, the cable, I often find, gets stuck there at the end because there's a little lip on the end. So what I've done is I've undone all of this paraphernalia here at the back, taken the cable out of where it joins the rear mech. I've threaded this inner sheath along the cable, so that the old gear cable is still in the frame, and then I've pushed it through along, and there you can see that this green inner gear cable sheath here has come out. This little flap here where you can access, a little port where you can access the cables. So what I've done is I've pushed that along in order for that part, this back section, to make it easier to replace the cable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to replace the cable, and this is going to make it a lot easier. So this is all internally routed. So I can now pull this out, this cable out, and you can see at the bottom, you'll be able to see this cable is coming out now. See there? See it disappearing? So I'm removing this cable because I don't want it to start fraying, because when the cable starts to fray, it becomes a nightmare to change it. So I've had that, and yeah, it just becomes a nightmare. So what I'm going to do, so that's the old cable, so I don't need that anymore. And you don't need to you don't need to pre-cut your new cable to length. But what I do is, without getting hit by the bike, I'm going to put some grease on this new cable. Yeah, not the film, but I'm just going to take this whole rag here, put a dollop of this grease on the rag, because I don't advise getting stuff, chemicals like this directly on your skin. It's not a good idea. So the old cable wasn't particularly dirty, so I'm not really needing to wear gloves, so that's okay. I'm just gonna, even though it's all internally routed, I like to put just a little bit of grease. So this is Shimano grease, and yeah, it's got quite a bit of chemicals in, so you don't really want it on your skin. So just put a little bit of grease on there, a little bit of John Travolta on there, and then thread it through here. Give it a little wipe at the end. So this is going to make your life so much easier, because I've done it before, and you know, bike frames may differ, but there's always a little lip that the frame always seems to get stuck on, I always find. So yeah, internally routed cables, not the worst idea in the world, but really, if you think it makes much aerodynamic difference, or I think it just makes it look smarter, really. I don't think it really makes any aerodynamic difference really at all. So that's going to come out here. This cable's going to come out here at the bottom. There we go. Emerging. So I'm going to take this cable here. Hopefully you can see everything that I'm doing. I'm going to pull this through. So this is the new cable. I'm going to send all this through from the top. Yeah, I prefer doing external routing of cables, but what can you do? So then I'm going to thread this through here, like so, and then this will run along. This will run along the green cable, so I'll just push this cabling back in, essentially like this. That pops back in, and then I'll screw that up at the end, but you don't want to see that, that's boring. So the cable is now on the inside here, so you can see it there. So all I have to do is remove this, and there you go. Isn't that super easy? And then I put my little cable inner outer over this, like so. I'll just pull that tight. Just pull that tight, make sure it's all pulled through. So yeah, you don't see the rest. Your rest is all boring, but yeah, I'm going to put that back in, index that. That'll be it for another video. But there you go. Super easy. So that's how easy it is if you use this little cable here, and you can keep reusing this. So that's what you can do every time. Super easy. Yeah, might be just the most faffy bit is, you know, it might depend on your bike, just changing that. So I could just put it through and not remove that, but essentially where the inner sheath that's always in the bike meets this, if I miss and the cable misses inside, so I would always just do that, even though it's a little bit of a faff. I'd always pull that out and make sure that the cable doesn't miss this. So there you go, super easy. And I've got this outside just on hooked up on with an old tire, so it makes it, you know, super easy. So I've got 360 degrees using an old tire hooked up to a frame on the side of the house. So super easy. Don't need a really expensive bike frame or bike holder paraphernalia. Just do it like this. Isn't that great? Hope you enjoyed that little explanation, little help there. So yeah, next time you don't need to take it to the bike shop. You can just get yourself a little sheath like that, and in a gear cable sheath. You know, they're like super cheap. You can just get them off Amazon. So this is the sheath, and this is the old cable here. I say this old cable wasn't fraying, but the little kink, little bend in the cable always means that that's probably where it might start fraying. So I want to make sure that it stops fraying, because it's a nightmare when that happens. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe for more bike hacks and simplifying your life. Look at that. Isn't that great?